Hello. It's the night before. I'm going to make sourdough tomorrow, so tonight I have to, you know, get the starter going here. So I've combined a cup of flour, cup of water, and then whatever is resting here, which is there's about a cup in there. So I'm going to combine that all into here, and then um, tomorrow they'll be nice and bubbly. All right. Good morning. You can see the dough is bubbly today. Nice and bubbly means it's been fed. Yeah. All right. So that's still not going to do anything. We're not going to do anything with that. Right now we're going to just combine our flour and water. 500 grams of flour and 375 grams of water. That's it. Turn this on here. Fire it up. Okay. 500 grams of water is about a little over 3 cups. Start there. And they say it's good to measure like this with a scale because it's more accurate than going with cups alone. There it is. We're at 501 gram. A little bit off. 500 grams. All right. For the water, I'm going to do 375 grams. That's 2 cups. It's way. All right, 408. We need to be at 375. 380. 378. Mix it up pretty good. So now we're going to let this sit for 30 to 60 minutes. And this is called the auto lips. It's when your flour and water, you kind of just mix them together. And the flour gets squished. You notice how I covered this last night. This needs to be, everything will need to be covered. I have these cool little covers. What are these? What's the material of these? Silicone. They work very well. A lot of people use plastic wrap, but silicone is pretty good. Alrighty. Alright, here we are. It's been several hours later because I got caught in meetings. But now what we'll do, doesn't matter. Dough's auto ellipsed 2 or 3 hours now instead of 30 to 60 minutes. But now what we're going to do is we're going to add our starter So starter, we're going to add 100 grams of starter. 100 grams is not a lot. Stir up my starter here. That was a quarter cup, and basically we'll get there. So that's 100 grams of starter is a quarter cup. So now the rest of this, I'm going to split into two. I'm going to save half of it for me, and I'll give half of it. This now goes in here. All right. So there's only one more ingredient we need to add, and that is salt. Some will say add it now. I have found that adding it later works better. Get more bubbles and stuff. Just sort of so if you don't add the salt, it sort of allows the bacteria, the starter, to do its work a little bit better. The salt suppresses that. So yeah, don't have to do too much mixing there. That's pretty good. That's pretty well mixed in. So then now that's it for that step right there. So the next step is for the next 3 to 5 hours, we're going to do folds every 30 to 45 minutes. There you go. Two jars going in the fridge. All right, it's been about 20 minutes. So we're going to do our folds. We just need to do 2 or 3 folds per turn. All you do is kind of get underneath it, pull it, with a boom, on a boom. Be mixed in a little bit better. Pull, forward. So that was 3. Yeah, that's good enough. Wash my hands, and that's it. See you in 20. All right, here we are 30, 45 minutes later. I'm downstairs, close to my office. I'm just gonna do a couple more folds here, getting under the bread, turning it, starting to, it's a little more consistent now. A couple things I could have fixed better. Anyway, that's it for now. See you in 20 minutes. All right, here we are again, probably an hour later. So put this down, do my folds. Yeah, so dough is definitely changing. So 2 folds, pull and folds. See how I can get further without it breaking. So pretty good. Let's see. Probably do the next one. I haven't done these as consistent, but it'll still turn out fine. I think the next time around we'll shape it and do. No, we'll probably do one more fold and then do the shape. So anyway, hello again. Here for another turn of the dough. Yeah, I'm pretty good. It all sort of. It was very flat. It has, so I think this will be definitely, it's starting to fall apart a little bit. So probably gone a little further than longer. No, that was good. That was a good pull. Yeah, I'll probably, in about 20 minutes, I'll probably reshape and do the... Okay, so here we are. It's been 6 hours since I started, right? So 2 to 5, I think, is now... Let's see, it said I should do it 2 to 5 hours. So I've gone well beyond that. It's still going to turn out amazing, right? So no big deal. So what we're going to do here is we need to add salt. So we're going to add 10 grams of salt. Exciting stuff here. Finally at 4. Not the best scale for the small stuff. That's all right. We're at 6. All right, well, 10 grams. What is that? About curiosity. It's going to be probably about 2 tablespoons. All right, we're going to mix this up. All right, now we got to mix up good because of the salt. We want to get that salt mixed in really good. So that's one of the disadvantages of adding the salt late is kind of have to do a little bit more at this stage to make sure it gets mixed in pretty well. Alright, pretty good with it. Okay, so we're doing our shaping. Now, if you look online, people will do this a lot different than what I do. I do minimum effort. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some oil in here. This is where I'm going to put the shaped dough. A normal person would use proofing baskets, but I have not found proofing baskets yet at yard sales, so I have not gone that route. One day I will. So instead of a proofing basket, I'm using this. Alright, so I'm going to shape my dough. Basically, what I try to do is kind of fold it in on itself. So it's creating, you're trying to create as much surface tension on the outside as possible. So you can kind of keep folding it in on itself. Also, you know, make sure that we get as much dough as we can on this thing. Alright, get all that dough in there. Just kind of fold it. I'm not folding it in half anymore. I'm folding it in quarters, right? So folding it over itself. Put stuff in there. What is that? I'll just do it. Alright, so once I've done that a few times, I'm just going to transfer it over to the other bowl. And it's not going to look pretty at all. It's very wet dough. You can start. So my shape, obviously, has been sort of ruined, but that's just how it goes sometimes. Mm-hmm.
You're filming?
Alright, so all the dough is transferred in the next time. So I'm going to let this sit now for 2 hours. You could, if you didn't have time to cook it today, you could put it in the fridge, and you put it in the fridge now. I've done that once, it turned out good. There we go. So there we have our shaped dough, my way. And let that sit for 2 hours, and we'll see you in 2 hours. All right, here we are turning the oven on, getting it heated up, 450 degrees. We'll put our makeshift Dutch oven with the lid on and let it preheat. See you in a bit. All right, here we are back again. Oven's 450. Now, if you're not going, I used pretty wet dough. You can go a lot drier than this. This is how, and if it's drier, it keeps its shape, but if it's wet, it turns out a little nice. The great thing is it's going to settle and then it's going to rise. It's going to do a warm rise. So even though I've moved it and everything's moved, before it starts cooking, it's actually going to rise a little bit. And we'll see it when it's done. So in 25 minutes, I'm going to take the lid off and it'll be done in 50 minutes. See you then.